Good morning, guys. Welcome back to the week. I hope you had a great weekend. Today, we're going to be moving on to lesson 8. And in the first part of our lesson, we're going to be listening to Nazarene's Secret School read aloud and determine the central message. We're also going to work to complete the reading for gist and recounting the story Note Catcher. Our learning targets for today are I can determine the gist of Nazarene's Secret School. Remember that gist is what the story is mostly about. And I can identify the central message, lesson, or moral of Nazarene's Secret School. And remember that the central message, lesson, or moral is going to be the big takeaway that the author wants us to remember. So remember, as we go through our first unit and module, we're working to become ethical people. So I want you to think for a second, how do you feel when someone is upset about something? Now take a second and think about what can you do to help that person work through it? So this brings us to empathy. Empathy is being able to understand and share or take into account the feelings, situation, or attitude of others. What does it look like? We're listening carefully and showing the proper facial expression for the situation. So if someone is sad, we're not going to be smiling about it. We're going to be having a look of concern on our face. And then what does empathy sound like? I understand how you feel. I can imagine how you feel. Next, we have compassion. What does it mean? Compassion is noticing when others are sad or upset and trying to help them. What does it look like? You can approach a friend or a classmate who looks upset. And then what does it sound like? You look upset. Is everything okay? Or you can ask, is there anything I can do to help? So that's how you can show compassion and empathy, and how we can continue to work to become ethical people. So these are all the traits that we've talked about so far with becoming ethical people: respect, integrity, empathy, and compassion. So now we're going to be listening to Nazarene's Secret School read aloud. But before we start listening, we're going to talk about where our story is set. So today we'll be traveling to Afghanistan. So remember, we're in Charlotte. So we're traveling from Charlotte all the way to Afghanistan. So we're coming from here all the way east into Afghanistan. And Afghanistan is located in the Middle East, right by Iran and Pakistan, Uzbekistan, all of these small countries. So this is we're going to be traveling to the Middle East to read about Nazarene's Secret School. Young Nazarene has not spoken a word to anyone since her parents disappeared. In despair, her grandmother risks everything to enroll Nazarene in a secret school for girls. Will a devoted teacher, a new friend, and the worlds she discovers in books be enough to draw Nazarene out of her shell of sadness? This is based on a true story from Afghanistan. My granddaughter Nazarene lives with me in Herat an ancient city in Afghanistan. Art and music and learning once flourished here. Then the soldiers came and changed everything. The art and music and learning are gone. Dark clouds hang over the city. Poor Nazreen sat at home all day because girls are forbidden to attend school. The Taliban soldiers don't want girls to learn about the world the way Nazreen's mama and I learned when we were girls. One night, soldiers came to our house and took my son away with no explanation. We waited many days and nights for his return. Finally, Nazreen's frantic mama went searching for him, even though going out alone in the streets was forbidden for women and girls. The full moon passed our window many times as Nazreen and I waited. Nazreen never spoke a word. She never smiled. She just sat, waiting for her mama and papa to return. I knew I had to do something. I heard whispers about a school, a secret school for girls, behind a green gate in a nearby lane. I wanted Nazreen to attend this secret school. I wanted her to learn about the world as I had. I wanted her to speak again. So one day, Nazreen and I hurried down the lanes until we came to the green gate. Luckily, no soldier saw us. I tapped lightly. The teacher opened the gate and we quickly slipped inside. We crossed the courtyard to the school, one room in a private house filled with girls. Nazreen took a place at the back of the room. Please, Allah, open her eyes to the world, I prayed as I left her there. Nazreen didn't speak to the other girls. She didn't speak to the teacher. At home, she remained silent. I was fearful that the soldiers would discover the school, but the girls were clever. They slipped in and out of school at different times so as not to arouse suspicion. And when boys saw soldiers near the green gate, they distracted them. I heard of a soldier who pounded on the gate, demanding to enter. But all he found was a room filled with girls reading the Quran, which was allowed. The girls had hidden their schoolwork, outwitting the soldier. One of the girls, Mina, sat next to Nazreen every day, but they never spoke to each other. While the girls were learning, Nazreen stayed inside herself. My worry was deep. When school closed for the long winter recess, Nazreen and I sat by the fire. Relatives gave us what food and firewood they could spare. We missed her mama and my son more than ever. Would we ever know what had happened? The day Nazreen returned to school, Mina whispered in her ear. And Nazreen answered back. With those words, her first since her mama went searching, Nazreen opened her heart to Mina. And she smiled for the first time since her papa was taken away. At last, little by little, day by day, Nazreen learned to read, to write, to add and subtract. Each night, she showed me what she had discovered that day. Windows opened for Nazreen in that little schoolroom. She learned about the artists and writers and scholars and mystics who long ago made Herat beautiful. Nazreen no longer feels alone. The knowledge she holds inside will always be with her, like a good friend. Now she can see blue sky beyond those dark clouds. As for me, my mind is at ease. I still wait for my son and his wife, but the soldiers can never close the windows that have opened for my granddaughter. Inshallah. So I want you to pause this video and I want you to think about what the story made you think about. The story made me think about school, books, and libraries, and the fact that There are some people who do not have the opportunity to be in school and to learn to read. So that is it for part one. We'll talk soon, guys.